Ryan's Office Revenge.
The sound you hear when 4 tons of American steel crushes a $180,000 Mercedes isn't what you'd expect. It's not a crash or a bang. It's more like the earth itself sighing in satisfaction. I should know. I'm the one who dropped it. Name's Garrett Sullivan, 49 years old, and I've been running cranes for 27 years. Spent 8 of those years in the Army, including 2 tours in Iraq, before coming back to build America's skyline one beam at a time. Never thought my biggest battle would be right here on a construction site in downtown Phoenix fighting a punk kid who thought his MBA made him God. See, back in Iraq, we had a saying, clear mission, clean execution. You identify the target, you plan your approach, you execute with precision. No emotion, no hesitation, just professional competence. I thought I'd left that world behind when I traded my Army uniform for a hard hat and work boots. Turns out, some battles just follow you home. Let me back up. The morning this all went down started like any other Tuesday. I was up at 5 a.m., black coffee and toast, checking the weather on my phone. Light winds, perfect for the steel delivery we had coming. My boy Jordan, 14 now and getting that teenager attitude, was dragging his feet about visiting the site. "Do I have to go, Dad?" he asked, shuffling around the kitchen in those ridiculous sneakers that cost more than my work boots. "Yeah, you do," I said. "Your mom thinks you need to see what real work looks like. That was part of our custody agreement. Diana, my ex-wife, wanted Jordan to spend more time with me, see what his old man actually did for a living. She worked at the hospital in administration, always in clean clothes, always talking about professional development. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but she sometimes forgot that somebody had to build the hospitals she worked in. The custody thing was still raw. Diana left me 3 years ago, said I was stuck in the past and had no vision for the future. Translation, I wasn't climbing the corporate ladder fast enough for her taste. The divorce papers cited irreconcilable differences, but what it really came down to was, she wanted a husband in a suit, not one in steel-toed boots. "Will I get to operate the crane?" Jordan asked, perking up despite his earlier complaints. "We'll see," I said. "Maybe I'll let you blow the horn." The kid's face lit up. That's the thing about Jordan. He might be going through that phase where everything his parents do embarrasses him, but he still got excited about the big machinery. Reminded me of myself at that age, back when my own dad took me to watch him work construction in Detroit. The Skyline Plaza project was my pride and joy. 40 stories of steel and concrete reaching toward the sky, and every beam that went up there passed through my hands first. I operated the Liebherr LTM 1300, a beast of a crane that could lift 300 tons without breaking a sweat. That machine and I understood each other the way a sniper understands his rifle. Every vibration, every sound, every subtle shift in balance meant something. Jordan perked up when we got to the site gate. He always did once he saw the crane towering above everything else, its yellow boom reaching toward the clouds like some kind of mechanical dinosaur. "Can I go up with you today?" he asked. "We'll see," I said. "Gotta check with Lisa first." Lisa Rodriguez was our site foreman, tough as nails and smart as hell. She ran a tight ship, which is why I respected her. Safety first, always. She'd come up through the trades like the rest of us, started as a laborer and earned every stripe on her hard hat. She okayed Jordan's visit with the usual warnings about staying in the trailer during active lifts. "Keep him away from Wells," she said quietly, glancing toward the management trailer. "You know how he gets around families." Adrian Wells, 28 years old, fresh out of some fancy business school, and nephew to the CEO of Pinnacle Construction. Kid showed up 3 months ago in his $1,000 suits, talking about optimizing workflows and maximizing efficiency. What he really meant was cutting corners and treating the crew like we were disposable. Wells had a particular hate for anything that reminded him where he came from. See, his old man had been a welder before he drank himself to death. Wells spent his whole life running from that blue-collar shame, and now he was taking it out on the rest of us. Overcompensating, the Army shrinks would have called it. The morning was going smooth until about 9:30. I was up in the cab, moving a bundle of I-beams into position for the 15th floor installation. The radio was crackling with the usual chatter, welders calling for material, electricians coordinating their runs, the normal symphony of a construction site hitting its stride. That's when Adrian Wells's silver Mercedes AMG roared through the gate like he owned the place, which, technically, his family did. "Look at that car," Jordan said, impressed despite himself. He was standing in the trailer doorway watching through the window. Just metal and plastic, son, I told him over the radio. Same as any other car, just shinier. Takes the same amount of steel to crush it. But Wells didn't park in the management lot where he belonged. No, that would have required walking 50 yards in his Italian loafers. Instead, he swung that low-slung sports car right into the drop zone, the clearly marked red area directly under my crane where we stage the steel loads. I was up in the cab at the time, 300 feet above the chaos, with a perfect bird's-eye view of what was about to become a very expensive mistake. The radio crackled. Garrett, Wells just parked in the red zone. Lisa's voice came through, tight with frustration. I looked down through the cab windows. Sure enough, there was that silver Mercedes sitting pretty right where my next load was supposed to go. The area was marked with red cross-hatching and signs that said danger. Overhead loads in letters big enough to read from space. Even had yellow bollards around it, the kind you'd have to deliberately drive around to get inside. Copy that, I said. Want me to come down and talk to him? No, I got it. From my perch up there, I could see the whole drama playing out like some kind of silent movie. Lisa was standing next to his car, clipboard in hand, pointing at the signs. Wells had his phone to his ear, completely ignoring her. She was gesturing at the overhead load, trying to explain why parking there was like standing under a piano hanging from a rope. Wells just waved her off like she was some kind of pest buzzing around his head. That's when I decided to climb down. Some things you handle man to man. The climb down from the Liebherr's 300 feet of vertical ladder inside a steel cage takes about 8 minutes if you're not in a hurry, 5 if you are. Today I was in a hurry. My boots hit the gravel just as Wells was finishing whatever important phone call was more critical than basic safety protocols. Mr. Wells, I said, walking up to where he was still yakking into his phone. You can't park there. We've got steel coming down in 10 minutes. He held up a finger at me, actually held up a finger like I was some waiter interrupting his dinner, finished his call, then looked me up and down like I was something stuck to his shoe. And who are you exactly? He asked. Garrett Sullivan, crane operator. That's my drop zone you're parked in. Wells smiled, not a friendly smile, but the kind predators give their prey right before they strike. Well, Garrett, he said, my name dripping with sarcasm. I'm the project manager. I sign the checks. You pull levers. If I say the car stays, the car stays. I could feel my jaw tightening. Back in Iraq, we had guys like Wells, officers who'd never seen real combat but loved throwing their weight around with the enlisted men, the kind who confused rank with respect and authority with competence. I'd learned how to deal with their type. Stay calm, stay professional, and document everything. Sir, I said, keeping my voice level, that's an active drop zone. OSHA regulations require... I don't care what OSHA says, Wells cut me off. I care about getting to my meeting on time. Work around it. That should have been the end of it. Should have been. I could have called the union rep, filed a grievance, let the bureaucracy sort it out over the next 3 months. But then Jordan came walking out of the trailer, curious about what was going on. Wells saw him coming and his whole demeanor changed. Got this nasty smile on his face, like a bully who just spotted fresh meat. This your kid? He asked. Yeah, this is Jordan. My boy walked up, all 14 years of gangly teenager, still wearing his visitor's hard hat that was slightly too big for his head. He looked between me and Wells, sensing the tension but not understanding it yet. Wells looked at my boy, then back at me. Kid, you see this? He gestured around the construction site, at the mud and the noise and the honest work being done. This is why you need to go to college, so you don't end up like your old man here. The words hit me like a physical blow. Not because they hurt me, I'd heard worse from better men, but because of the way Jordan's face changed. The pride he'd been showing off to his friends about his dad's job, the excitement about seeing the crane operation up close, the respect in his eyes when he watched me work. All of it just died. Sitting in a box all day, playing with a joystick, working for pennies, Wells continued, warming up to his audience. No future, no respect, no real skills. Just pushing buttons and hoping nobody notices how replaceable you are. The construction site was starting to go quiet. Word spreads fast on a job site, and the crew was beginning to sense something big was happening. Welders shut off their torches. The concrete crew stopped their pour prep. Even the traffic on the street seemed to slow down like the whole city was holding its breath. That's enough, I said. Wells laughed, a sharp barking sound that cut through the morning air like a blade. Oh, I'm just getting started. You know what your daddy is, kid? He pointed right at me with one manicured finger. He's a nobody, a fossil, a relic from when men settled things with their hands instead of their heads. Then he did something I'll never forget as long as I live. He turned to Jordan, looked my 14-year-old son right in the eyes and said, "Your daddy's a loser, kid. A nobody. Don't end up like him." The construction site went dead quiet. 40 guys stopped what they were doing to watch. Jordan's eyes filled with tears, but he was trying not to let them fall. My boy, my 14-year-old son, was standing there being told his father was worthless by some silver spoon punk who'd never built anything in his life except a resume. "Get in the trailer, Jordan," I said quietly. "But Dad, now." Jordan walked away, shoulders slumped. And that's when Wells made his fatal mistake. He smiled at me. Actually smiled, like he'd just won something important. A small, tight smile of absolute victory, the kind that said he knew exactly what he'd just done and was proud of it. "Here's the thing, Garrett," he said, adjusting his cuffs like he was getting ready for a board meeting instead of standing in a construction site. "You're done. Fired. Get your stuff and get off my site. And take your little disappointment with you." I looked at him standing there in his perfect suit next to his perfect car in my drop zone, and something shifted inside me. Not anger. Anger's hot and stupid. Gets you court-martialed or arrested. This was something else. Something cold and tactical, the way they taught us in the Army when everything depended on making the right move at the right time. It was like a switch flipped in my head, taking me back to those dusty streets in Fallujah where split-second decisions meant the difference between coming home or coming home in a box. The same mental clarity I used to get when incoming fire started and everything slowed down, crystallized into perfect focus. "You sure about that?" I asked. "Dead sure. Security will escort you out if you're not gone in 10 minutes. Don't make this harder than it has to be." I nodded slowly, like I was accepting defeat. "All right then." But as I walked back toward the gate where my truck was parked, my mind was already working the problem. In Iraq, we called it tactical assessment. Identify assets, assess enemy position, plan execution. Wells thought he'd won because he had the authority to fire me. What he didn't understand was that authority and power aren't the same thing. I didn't get in my truck. Instead, I pulled out my phone and dialed a number I'd kept in my contacts for 6 years. Rachel Torres, attorney at law. "Rachel, it's Garrett Sullivan from the Skyline job. Remember when you were a safety inspector and management tried to bury you for shutting down that unsafe crane operation?" There was a pause, then warmth flooded her voice. "Garrett, of course I remember. You testified for me when everyone else was afraid to speak up. What can I do for you?" I told her everything, the firing, the humiliation in front of Jordan, and most importantly, that Mercedes sitting in a clearly marked drop zone with a suspended load overhead. As I talked, I could hear her pen scratching against paper. "He fired you verbally? No paperwork?" she asked when I finished. "Nothing. Just told me to get off his site. And I haven't clocked out yet. Technically, I'm still on duty for another 3 hours." There was a pause. I could practically hear the gears turning in her lawyer brain. "Garrett, listen carefully. Under OSHA regulations section 1926.550 and your union contract clause 14, the crane operator on duty has absolute authority to secure any hazard in an active drop zone. That car represents a Class A safety violation. If you don't address it before leaving the site, you could be held personally liable if someone gets hurt. What are you saying? I'm saying do your job, secure that hazard, and if that car gets damaged in the process of securing a suspended load, well, that's what insurance is for. Just make sure you follow proper procedures to the letter." I hung up and looked back at the crane towering 300 feet above us. Jordan was sitting in my truck now, still wiping his eyes, trying to process what had just happened to his dad, to his hero. That sight, my boy believing for even 1 second that his father was what Wells said he was, lit a fire in my chest that burned hotter than anything I'd felt since combat. The climb back up to the cab felt different this time. Each rung on the ladder was a step toward either vindication or prison, and I was okay with either outcome. By the time I reached the top, my mind was crystal clear. I wasn't doing this for revenge. I was doing it for safety, for my son, for every working man who'd ever been told he didn't matter by someone who'd never earned a callus. I fired up the Liebherr's diesel engine, and the whole machine came to life with a deep, throbbing rumble that shook the cab. The radio exploded with chatter almost immediately. "Garrett, what are you doing?" Lisa's voice panicked and sharp. Securing an unsafe condition, I replied calmly, running through my pre-operation checklist like I'd done thousands of times before. Got a civilian vehicle in an active drop zone. Can't leave the site with an unsecured load overhead and an obstruction in the landing area. I don't have keys to the car, Lisa. Only thing I can do is bring the load down to ground level and secure it according to OSHA Protocol 1926.550 subsection D. Which was absolutely true. Standard operating procedure when you can't clear the drop zone is to ground the load and lock it off safe. I was following regulations to the letter. Down below, I could see Wells come running out of the trailer like his hair was on fire. He'd heard the diesel engine start up and probably realized that the nobody he'd just fired was now sitting in control of 300 tons of machinery. He was pointing up at me, shouting something that got lost in the wind and machine noise. I keyed the external PA system, my voice booming across the site through speakers designed to be heard over jackhammers and concrete mixers. Attention ground personnel. Bringing suspended load to ground level due to obstruction in drop zone. Clear the area immediately. This is not a drill. Every worker on the job stopped what they were doing and looked up. They knew what those words meant. They'd heard them in safety training videos, but never in real life. The crew around the perimeter fence started backing away, some of them actually running. Wells was standing next to his Mercedes now, waving his arms like he could stop 4 tons of steel with hand signals. The load was hanging directly overhead, swaying slightly in the breeze. 4 massive I-beams strapped together, each one 40 feet long and weighing a ton by itself. I didn't drop it fast. That would have been unprofessional, and after 27 years operating heavy machinery, I had a reputation to maintain. Instead, I lowered it nice and steady, hydraulics whining as the cable paid out foot by foot. The load descended with mechanical precision, 80 feet, 60 feet, 40 feet. Wells finally realized what was happening. His face went from confusion to understanding to pure terror in about 3 seconds. He scrambled toward the car, fumbling for his keys, then seemed to remember that getting into a vehicle with 4 tons of steel hanging directly overhead might not be the smartest career move he'd ever made. The crew around the fence was dead silent now, watching history being made. Even the city traffic seemed to slow down, like word was somehow spreading that something major was about to happen at the Skyline Plaza site, 20 feet, 15 feet. Wells was dancing around his Mercedes like it was on fire, screaming something that got lost in the diesel roar and hydraulic whine. He was waving his phone, probably trying to call security or the cops or maybe his uncle, but it was way too late for any of that. 10 feet, 5 feet, and then physics took over. The sound was incredible. Not just the crunch of metal and glass, but the deep thud that shook the ground and rattled windows 3 blocks away. The Mercedes didn't just get flattened, it got erased. The steel beams drove that $180,000 symbol of arrogance right into the earth like a tent stake, crushing it so completely that the roof met the floorboard and the floorboard met the mud underneath. The impact was so heavy I felt the vibration travel up the tower and shake my seat 300 feet in the air. Dust and debris billowed up in a mushroom cloud, obscuring the wreckage for a moment. When it settled, there wasn't much left to see. Just 4 tons of American steel sitting on top of what used to be a car, but something else had happened. The impact had cracked the asphalt. Wells had laid over that section of the site last month, the section he'd been so proud of, talking about cost savings and efficiency improvements. Black liquid was bubbling up around the wreckage, seeping through the fissures in the pavement. "What the hell is that?" someone shouted from the fence. It wasn't oil from the car. This was something else, something thick and toxic that smelled like chemical death, the kind of industrial waste that costs a fortune to dispose of legally. The kind that companies pay millions to have hauled away to specialized treatment facilities. The trunk of the Mercedes had burst open like a rotten melon, spilling its contents into the mud. And there, mixed in with the black sludge, were things that made the whole picture crystal clear. Waterproof bags full of cash, ledgers wrapped in plastic, and a laptop that was now cracked but still visible. Wells was standing 20 feet away, covered in mud, his perfect suit ruined, staring at his destroyed car, and the evidence of his crimes bubbling up from the ground. He looked like a man watching his entire world collapse in real time. The sirens started about 10 minutes later. Police, fire department, EPA. Wells had called them all, screaming about attempted murder and property destruction. But by the time they arrived, it was clear who the real criminal was. The EPA investigators took one look at that black sludge and called for hazmat teams. The police found the cash and ledgers, records of bribes paid to inspectors, invoices for illegal dumping, a whole criminal enterprise documented in Wells' own handwriting. Turned out our boy had been dumping toxic chemicals into the city's groundwater for 6 months, pocketing the disposal fees and burying the evidence under fresh asphalt. The Mercedes had been his mobile office for the whole operation, which explained why he'd been so particular about where he parked it. I climbed down from the cab to find Rachel Torres waiting for me with a briefcase and a very satisfied smile. "Perfect execution," she said. "Textbook safety procedure, properly documented, fully justified under OSHA regulations. They can't touch you." 3 months later, I'm sitting on my back porch with a cold beer, watching Jordan work on his dirt bike engine. The boy's got good hands, natural mechanical instincts. Takes after his old man, I guess. The settlement check from Pinnacle Construction was enough to retire on if I wanted to. They paid out fast and quiet, desperate to distance themselves from the environmental scandal. Wells got 15 years in federal prison for environmental crimes and bribery. His uncle resigned in disgrace. The whole company got restructured from the top down. Diana started looking at me different after the news coverage. The papers called me a whistleblower hero and a working-class champion. Local news ran the story for a week. Straight, veteran crane operator accidentally exposes massive environmental crime while following safety protocols. Suddenly, the man she divorced for having no vision for the future was looking pretty visionary after all. "Dad," Jordan said, looking up from his bike with grease-stained fingers, "was it really an accident? The crane thing?" I took a sip of beer and looked at my boy. At 14, he was old enough to understand some things about the world, about standing up for yourself, about what happens when someone pushes too far. "What do you think, son?" He grinned, the same cocky smile I used to see in the mirror 30 years ago. "I think nobody calls my dad a loser. That's my boy. You know, they say revenge is a dish best served cold, but sometimes it's better served with 4 tons of American steel and a man who knows how to use them. The important thing is knowing when someone's pushed you past the point of walking away. And if you're gonna drop the hammer, make sure you don't miss. If this story hit home for you, there's probably a reason. We've all had that boss, that moment when someone with a title thinks they can treat you like dirt. The difference is, most of us just have to take it and smile. But every once in a while, the machinery lines up just right and justice gets served with the precision of a master craftsman. That's what 27 years of experience gets you. The knowledge of exactly when and how to make your point. Clear mission, clean execution. Some lessons from the Army never leave you. Sometimes the best way to teach respect is to show what happens when you don't give it. Real power isn't about the title on your business card. It's about knowing exactly what you're capable of when pushed too far.